take a sip of water. Now take a breath. You may have just swallowed or inhaled microscopic pieces of plastic. That sounds like the opening of a science fiction movie, but researchers have already reported plastic particles in human blood, lungs, placenta, artery plaque, liver, kidneys, and even brain tissue. So yes, plastic can get inside the human body. But before we panic and replace everything in the kitchen with medieval pottery, we need to answer 3 questions. How does it get in? Where does it go? And most importantly, is it actually hurting us?
First, what exactly are we talking about? Microplastics are plastic particles generally smaller than 5 millimeters. That upper limit is roughly the size of a pencil eraser, but many particles are far too small to see. Nanoplastics are smaller still, often measured in billionths of a meter. At that scale, scientists need specialized instruments just to detect them. Some particles are manufactured small. Others form when bottles, bags, packaging, tires, paint, and synthetic fabrics slowly break apart. Plastic doesn't simply vanish. It fragments into smaller and smaller pieces, like a cookie that keeps crumbling, except these crumbs can remain in the environment for years.
These particles can reach us through 3 main routes: what we eat, what we drink, and what we breathe. Microplastics have been reported in foods and drinking water, while airborne fibers and fragments can settle in indoor dust. Synthetic clothing, furnishings, road traffic, packaging, and degraded plastic waste can all contribute particles to the environment. Many swallowed particles may simply pass through the digestive system. Our airways also have mucus, tiny moving hairs, and immune cells designed to trap unwanted material. The problem is size. The smaller the particle, the harder it becomes to track, and the more scientifically plausible it becomes that some particles could cross biological barriers. Exactly how much enters the bloodstream and how much eventually leaves again remains uncertain.
Here is where the evidence becomes both fascinating and frustrating. In 2022, researchers analyzing blood from 22 healthy volunteers detected several common plastic polymers. It was a small study, but it showed that plastic-related particles could be measured in the bloodstream. Other teams have reported microplastics in human lung tissue. One carefully controlled study found particles in 11 of 13 lung samples, supporting inhalation as a genuine exposure route. Plastic particles have also been reported in placenta samples, and in 2024, researchers detected polyethylene and, in some cases, PVC inside plaque removed from patients' carotid arteries. These findings don't mean everyone contains the same amount. Different laboratories use different instruments, size limits, and collection methods, which can produce very different results.
Then came the headline that made everyone sit up. Plastic in the brain. A 2025 Nature Medicine study examined tissue from deceased people and reported micro and nanoplastics in the brain, liver, and kidneys. The researchers measured higher concentrations in brain samples than in liver or kidney samples, with polyethylene making up much of the detected material. They also reported higher concentrations in samples collected in 2024 than in samples from 2016. That sounds alarming, but it isn't the final word. Later in 2025, other scientists challenged parts of the study's methodology, including its contamination controls and validation procedures. The original researchers defended their approach. This disagreement matters because plastic is everywhere, in clothing, laboratory air, equipment, and containers. A study must prove the plastic came from the tissue and not from the room.
So, are microplastics making us sick? The honest answer is, we don't know yet. In laboratory and animal experiments, certain micro and nanoplastics have been connected with inflammation, oxidative stress, disrupted cell function, and tissue damage. But experimental doses, particle types, and exposure conditions don't always match everyday human exposure. Human evidence is still mostly observational. One important 2024 study followed 257 patients after surgery to remove carotid artery plaque. Patients whose plaque contained detected micro or nanoplastics experienced a higher rate of heart attack, stroke, or death during roughly 3 years of follow-up. That is an important warning sign, but it does not prove the particles caused those events. The patients already had artery disease. Other factors may have influenced the results, and critics questioned possible contamination during sample collection. Association is a clue. It is not a conviction. This is the central problem. Finding something inside the body does not automatically prove that it is dangerous. A splinter in your finger clearly causes damage. A microscopic plastic particle is more complicated. Risk may depend on its size, shape, chemical additives, polymer type, dose, and how long it remains inside tissue. Scientists still need standardized detection methods, larger studies, and long-term research that follows people before diseases develop. We also don't have a reliable medical test that tells an individual you have exactly this much plastic inside you. And despite what social media may promise, there is currently no scientifically proven microplastic detox. So, what can you realistically do? First, don't panic and don't spend your savings on miracle filters or detox powders. You can make simple precautionary choices. Use glass or stainless steel for hot foods and drinks when practical. Follow the manufacturer's instructions before microwaving plastic containers. Replace badly damaged containers and reduce unnecessary single-use plastics. These choices may reduce some avoidable contact, but scientists cannot yet tell you exactly how much they change the amount inside your body. And remember, regulators such as the FDA currently say the available evidence does not demonstrate that microplastic levels found in food pose a proven human health risk. That is not the same as saying there is absolutely no risk. It means the evidence remains incomplete. So, are microplastics already inside your body? Very possibly. And studies suggest human exposure is widespread. But the most frightening claims race far ahead of the science. Researchers have established exposure and reported particles in multiple human tissues. They have not yet established exactly what those particles do to a healthy person over an entire lifetime. The real story isn't plastic is definitely poisoning everyone. It is this: we created a material designed to last, spread it across the planet, and are only now discovering how deeply its smallest fragments may travel.
And that is a scientific question we cannot afford to ignore.